Education has been touted since I've been alive, and well before that, as the way for every society to move forward. Literacy is highly important. Every civilization looks at who's literate and who's not literate. Some have kept the mass of the population illiterate as a matter of control. In Western civilization, we kept moving toward everybody becoming literate and becoming more knowledgeable and being able to more use reason and rationality to advance. We had at one time everything was verbal. You go back to the time of the ancient Greeks, the Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey was something that was done verbally for entertainment for centuries before those two works were written down. As we move forward in the Hellenistic age, after Alexander the Great, Greek became the language of knowledgeable people, and plus the Greek writers, mathematicians, philosophers had done a great deal to advance the idea of an educated citizenry, because the city-states, which in one way or another were run by citizens, or an oligarchy that was supported by citizens. But as in Athens, you had people. Not everybody was a citizen, and you have to, that's part of education, is learning that. But they were the first where people, not the first, but where people openly held elections, and you had actual mob mentality take hold. Thus, you had someone like Socrates get executed because he didn't follow the normal process. But education can be a great thing. It can be a dangerous thing. It can be great for everybody concerned if you use it to make your, as Hercule, I'm saying that incorrectly, Poirot in the mystery novels always talks about exercising his little gray cells, and those are important. The human race seems bound and determined not to use those little gray cells a lot. But anyway, as we move forward, the Gutenberg Bible was done with the printing press, and that enabled the Bible, which until then was mainly the purview of the priesthood. Not even nobles really could read or write that much, but it enabled that knowledge to be spread, and people to get their own ideas and interpretations from that. And so we began the long march of literacy in Western civilization, and this country was founded with the idea of literacy, education, highly important. The first universities were actually, other than the University of Pennsylvania, founded by religious institutions in order to advance literacy and education. And the idea of an educated individual was one who could look at a subject and hear both sides. That's also the idea of literate debate. Two people could disagree, and through free and open debate come to a conclusion, maybe, and that's what we call compromise. But today, and it's happened before, but again, I should say, we're seeing people who don't really want to debate. They really kind of want to scream at each other and enforce their thoughts and ideas on other people that don't necessarily agree with them. That is going to lead nowhere but a bad place at some point. The people that founded this country, and I know they get a lot of bad press now, but they were highly literate individuals and very well read, and they wanted this country not to be mob dominated. The mob becomes crazy, and I would encourage you, if you can, there's an individual, oh God, I can't think of his name, but he wrote a book called The Madness of Crowds around 1895. I believe it's Gustave Le Bon. Anyway, nobody's watching anyway, but this book, interesting, written in the late 19th century after the French Revolution and so forth and so on. People go crazy. They get in mobs and look at the Salem witch trials. And I'm not going to go through all the different, I don't know how much time, but the idea of just a mob rule was anathema to the founders. And that's why they have the three branches. They made it very difficult for anything to advance quickly and easily. And that's so you could stop and take a look. And you had the House of Representatives, which was elected by popular vote. And originally the Senate, which was appointed, the senators were appointed by the state legislatures to represent these states. And the states created the Union, the Republic. And it's not a democracy, it's a republic of the United States. So we were a gathering of states that created a central government for the betterment of the entire country. But the states pretty much had more control over their individual areas than the federal government did. But that's another thing. But that's part of our education, which we have dropped, and our universities have not become, are quit being debating societies. Our professors have dropped their responsibility of having people look at all sides and understand all sides and then come to a conclusion that may not make everybody happy, but that will work. And we are constantly advancing, and this is where our education system has failed. We are advancing this theory of economic history called Marxism, which has been tried several times, never works, and we keep trying it because I think we don't push people intellectually. There is no rigor in our educational system anymore. You have this insane idea of pushing math as somehow prejudiced over someone's skin color, white, because math has rigor. I mean, you have to have answers. You have to be able to work a process to come up with an answer that works. If it doesn't work, you can't make anything work. Nothing is possible without math, and we're trying. I mean, we've already, at one time, history was very rigorous, the study of history, and yes, historians have opinions, and yes, history is written by the winners, but you could still go back and go back and forth and see other ideas and other thoughts and how the people came to the conclusions they came to, and see what worked and didn't work. That's why the states were given more hierarchical importance, because each state could try its own way, which then could be arbitrated on a national basis. But right now, as I said earlier, our university and K through 12 are dropping the ideas of getting our children to think in a rigorous way. Now, this has been going on a long time, since I was young, because school, to me, was unbelievably boring. And I think they did that on purpose. But when I got to college, it was fantastic because all these ideas were flowing around, and you could yell and scream and talk and debate in the student centers. And I remember universities professors in the student center having debates around coffee and so forth. It's fantastic. And that was in the 60s. And then we slowly, and I think Marxism is for the lazy because it just makes everything sound so easy. And life is not easy. And then somebody once said, intellectuals that lead revolutions become very bloody because they can't believe that you disagree with them. And right now, the intellectuals believe in Marxism because it's easy. And then if you say, well, we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll do this, but it goes against Marxism, goes against human nature. And before, the way this was set up, people could try things out, they could work, they could learn and move forward. And yeah, a lot of times we were taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, but we were making 1 step forward. So right now, education is failing us because we're not really being educated. We're being taught to go with the flow, find the easy way, and then we're surprised when it doesn't work out. And then the people pushing that double down on the easy. And the easy is not the way to go. You need confrontation. You need constant honing of the mind. You need constant fighting mentally. But you just need that. I mean, you don't sharpen a saw by letting it sit there and you constantly cut wood, but you never sharpen it because cutting the wood dulls it. And if you do it the same over and over and over, eventually you ain't going to cut much wood if you don't sharpen. So dull tools don't get the job done. I'm out of time. Y'all have a good day.